Are you a first-time home buyer looking to settle down with Barkamedes Jr. and just relax the days away in Aeternum? No, none of us are. But we are interested in the best places, at least in my opinion, to get your housing set up. And so that way you have a stance all across the server with your 3 houses, as well as your placement of your inn. So let's go ahead and get into the best places to buy houses in Aeternum. Welcome back, everyone. Again, my name's K-Dog. Today we're going to be looking at the places that I consider the best, most efficient uses of housing in Aeternum overall. Now, I will place this out with a caveat at the very beginning that if you have a territory that your company owns, of course, there will be a lot of perks for you buying a house in that territory, such as lowered housing cost and then cheaper taxes and things like that. But we're just talking in general, the places that you or I ideally would be buying houses and why. So first up, we're going to talk about early game, where we should buy that first house and where we should spend that money, and whether or not it's worth it to spend the $40,000 or exorbitant amount that it is for the higher tier houses. Going over that really quick, I also have linked, I went over very in-depth how housing works in my beginner's guide. I'll have that up there somewhere in the corner for you guys. Anyways, housing, the main difference in housing and the prices you'll see is how long, twofold, how long the cooldown is for your fast travel back to the house. So it can range from, I think, like 4 hours all the way down to like 2 hours. And then also how many items you can place in your house, which also can be supplemented by territory standing cards as well. But mainly, that's one of the huge things for that is the houses are able to have more items in them, which this is especially important for those of you that want to have that house that is shown on the server. Because if you're unaware, each house is its own instance, but whoever has the highest housing fashion score actually has theirs shown for the whole world on there. So if that's important to you, having the, the bigger houses and being the one in control of that is definitely huge. Oh, and of course, I neglected to mention the biggest thing that housing can grant you, which is storage and trophies. So there are furniture items in the game. I talked about this once again in my beginner's guide, but there are storage items in the game that give you extra storage in those locations. That's why I said having a house in like Windsward is huge, because you can get extra storage there just by having the house and the storage lockers in your home, as well as trophies that you can put up in your home. 1 per each house allows you to either get a bonus to your crafting, extra damage to enemies out in the wilderness. There's a lot of different trophies that you can have, extra gathering speed. So there's definitely a lot of perks to owning a home in an area, and definitely worth the money that is invested into it. So we're going to start out with what I consider the place to have at least one or your starter house, and that is going to be Windsward. Windsward, in my opinion, is going to be a great crafting source. You have Windsward and Everfall. Both of these are huge economy centers for your server, especially early on, all the way into later game, because everybody has things established there as ready. The reason I say Windsward is good is because there are a couple cheap houses here. Notably, the house that overlooks the crafting square, even if you do not own that territory, that is a $5,000 house that you can buy and have a fast travel there for it. So that is minuscule amount for your first house and your first 20 levels or so. Once you have donated to your guild and things like that, that is a great first time home buyer. And it has a nice little balcony that overlooks the whole crafting floor. It's like right above the stone cutting area. It's actually really nice. I love that house. But that would be my recommendation for the first house. It's relatively cheap, gives you that extra fast travel point you don't have to worry about, and then you get back to a crafting hub. Now, you may be saying, well, why not Everfall? Personally, I use Everfall as my hourly, my in cooldown. And the reason for that is Everfall is the central area to everywhere. So no matter where I am on the map, once an hour, I can recall to Everfall. And then, if need be, I can fast travel to wherever I need to go from there. But it will overall have the least amount of Azoth to fast travel to these other places for the most part. Obviously, you know, that's a little different when you get up here. But for the most part, in early mid-game and that, Everfall is there. I can understand the argument with later on in the game, moving your in recall to maybe if you're, you know, spending a lot of time in Reekwood or something like that, like using it as your in. But I really, really think having Everfall as your in recall is the best. That's always the main center economy hub. You can fast travel back to it, throw a bunch of things up on the board to sell after your big excavation or, you know, your big mining gathering run up in Shattered Mountain. Fast travel back, you're good to go, because majority of the economy, even into late game, is not going to be in these high tier areas. They're going to still be in Everfall and in Windsward, but you already have a house in Windsward. Going up into middle of the game time, Morningdale. Reason for this is kind of the opposite reasoning of Everfall. It is the most kind of out of the way area to have a house up in the corner, especially, you know, if and when they open this up here and we start getting some expansion stuff going on, having a house here. There you go. But it is kind of the furthest away from everything else on the map. Obviously, for those that don't know, Eden Grove, Great Cleave, and Shattered Mountain cannot be owned by any faction and do not have housing available there. So this is up in the corner. This is a great level 40-ish area for those that haven't been there. So it gives you that mid to late game presence on your second house after you hit level 30, able to buy your second home. Saving up enough to get a house in Morningdale will allow you that other fast travel point up here in the corner, so that way you're able to start doing your mid-late game quests, your Restless Shore, your, you know, third dungeon, third expedition, things like that, and branching out over into Eden Grove and then these other areas. Third house, you can have a max of 3 houses, like I said. Third house, when you unlock that, personally, it's dealer's choice. I will be buying my third house in Ebonscale Reach, because in my opinion, Ebonscale Reach is just the coolest of all the freaking towns, and I love the Japanese aesthetic there, and it's really gorgeous. And yeah, it's an end level area. I think your third house should be in an end level area, you know, an end game area, so that way you have another, again, place to fast travel to. So Reekwater or Ebonscale. Like I said, I think Ebonscale is prettier and just absolutely gorgeous. If you guys haven't seen it, go look at some of the pictures and things like that. Ebonscale is, oh my god. But like I said, your third house is a little bit, you know, dealer's choice. Maybe you or your company owns Cutlass and you just want to hang out down in Cutlass and have a nice house down there, and there's a bunch of crafting stuff that you can utilize there. The third house is a little bit up to interpretation, but I do highly recommend doing it in one of these end-game locations, either Ebonscale or Reekwater. Like I said, the main caveat that might branch this, or might, like I said, the main thing that might force you or sway you to buy houses in other regions is if your faction or if your company does own one of these other regions. I could see you get a huge housing discount for buying a house there. So if your company owns Brightwood, by all means, get a house in Brightwood. You're going to save a lot of money doing it that way and having that extra fast travel point, and you're going to be able to go out to Great Cleave. But if you are either in a smaller guild that doesn't have the representation on, you know, the server to own a territory, or you just want to be as efficient as possible, in my opinion, Everfall for your inn, Windsward, then Morningdale, then Ebonscale Reach. You have a nice little coverage of all of the continent. That's going to be it. Thank you again. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know where you're going to be building your third house. Is it going to be Ebonscale? Is it going to be Reekwater? Or is it going to be somewhere that maybe they haven't released yet? Or maybe you're just going to nomad it up and not have a third house. I don't know. Either way, I appreciate you guys. Make sure if you haven't, you're hitting that subscribe button and the like. look forward to seeing you guys back here. We got a lot of content coming out over the next week before New World launches, and I know we're all excited for the 28th. Can't wait. I will see you guys there in Aeternum. Be good. Catch you later.